My child, if you are hearing these words right now, pause for a moment and breathe, because this message is not meant for everyone. There are millions of voices, millions of distractions, and countless messages flowing through the world every second. Yet somehow, out of all those possibilities, this one has reached you. That is not an accident. In the spiritual world, there are moments when a soul crosses a quiet, invisible line, a threshold that separates who they once were from who they are becoming. And when that happens, certain truths begin to reveal themselves. So listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is not meant for the masses. It is meant for the rare souls who are ready to understand what has changed inside them. My child, you have crossed a spiritual line, and many people will never reach the place where you now stand. This line is not something you can see with your eyes, and it is not something the world can measure with success, wealth, or recognition. It is a transformation that happens quietly within the heart and mind. For a long time, your life may have felt like a journey through confusion. There may have been moments when you felt misunderstood by the people around you. Perhaps you noticed that your thoughts were deeper than the conversations happening around you. Perhaps you began questioning things that others accepted without thinking. You may have felt a growing awareness that the world is not exactly what it appears to be on the surface. Many people spend their entire lives moving through routines without ever asking why they feel the way they do or what their deeper purpose might be. But something inside you began searching for answers. That search is one of the first signs that your soul was approaching this spiritual line. The journey to this moment may not have been easy. In fact, crossing this line often requires going through experiences that force a person to grow in ways they never expected. You may have faced challenges that made you question everything you once believed about yourself and about life. There may have been moments of loneliness when it felt like no one truly understood what you were going through. You may have lost certain relationships or connections because the version of you that existed before could no longer remain the same. Thus, when a soul begins evolving, the old patterns of life often start falling away. Some people leave, some situations end, and certain opportunities disappear. At first, these changes can feel painful because they create uncertainty. But my child, every transformation begins with the release of what no longer belongs in your path. The spiritual line you have crossed represents the moment when your awareness began expanding beyond what is ordinary. You started noticing things that others overlook. You may have felt drawn to deeper truths about life, about energy, about purpose. Perhaps you began paying attention to signs, coincidences, or patterns that once seemed meaningless. These moments are often dismissed by people who are not ready to see them. But for those who have crossed this line, they begin forming a picture that reveals something greater. Here's the first hook you must understand. Once a soul crosses this spiritual line, there is no returning to the person they once were. The old way of seeing the world slowly fades. The things that once seemed important may begin losing their meaning. Material success, approval from others, or temporary distractions may no longer satisfy the deeper part of your mind. Instead, you begin searching for something more meaningful. You start asking questions about purpose, about the nature of existence, about why certain people enter your life and why others leave. Many people will never reach this stage of awareness. They remain comfortable with the surface of life, following patterns that were taught to them without questioning whether those patterns truly align with their soul. But rare souls, like the one listening to this message, feel a pull that cannot be ignored. They feel called to look deeper. They sense that life is guiding them towards something greater than the ordinary path. And that is why this message has reached you now. Because when a soul crosses this spiritual line, it means that a new phase of their journey is beginning. But crossing this line also brings responsibility. Awareness is a powerful gift, but it can also feel overwhelming at times. You may notice that you feel emotions more intensely than before. You may sense the energy of people and environments around you in ways that you did not notice in the past. Certain places may feel peaceful while others feel heavy or draining. This sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a sign that your awareness is expanding. When the mind begins seeing the deeper layers of reality, it becomes more connected to the unseen forces that shape our experiences. You may also begin noticing that your intuition is becoming stronger. There may be moments when you simply know something without being able to explain how you know it. Perhaps you feel guided towards certain decisions or feel a quiet warning about situations that do not align with your path. These intuitive signals are part of the awakening that happens when someone crosses this spiritual threshold. My child, the world will not always understand what you are experiencing. Some people may dismiss your thoughts or question your perspective because they have not yet reached the same level of awareness, but that does not mean your journey is wrong. Every soul awakens at its own pace. Some take many lifetimes to reach the place where you are standing now. That is why the message says that only rare souls will see these words. It is not about superiority or special status. It is about readiness. Only those who are ready to hear certain truths will be able to recognize them when they appear. And if this message resonates with you, it means that part of your spirit already understands what is being revealed. But there is another truth hidden within this moment. Crossing the spiritual line is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of a much deeper one. From this point forward, your life may start unfolding in ways that feel guided rather than random. You may meet people who appear at exactly the moment you need them. You may discover opportunities that align perfectly with your growth. And you may begin realizing that the challenges you faced in the past were preparing you for the awareness you now carry. Because every awakening happens for a reason. Every soul that reaches this stage is being guided toward a purpose that extends beyond ordinary life. And right now, you may be standing at the doorway of that purpose without fully realizing it yet. But the fact that this message has reached you means one thing. The next chapter of your journey is already beginning to unfold. My child, once a soul crosses the spiritual line we spoke about earlier, life rarely continues in the same ordinary way. The change may not always be visible to the outside world, but inside you something has already shifted. The way you see people, the way you understand events, and the way you interpret the quiet signals of life all begin transforming. This transformation does not happen in one dramatic moment. Instead, it unfolds slowly, like the sunrise that gently replaces darkness with light. And right now, if you're still listening, it means your spirit has already begun walking further along this path of awakening. When someone crosses this spiritual line, one of the first things they begin noticing is that certain things no longer feel the same. Situations that once seemed normal may now feel uncomfortable or empty. Conversations that once entertained you may suddenly feel shallow. You may find yourself withdrawing from places, habits, or relationships that once filled your life with activity. This can be confusing at first, because you might wonder why things that once felt familiar now feel misaligned with who you are becoming. But my child, this is one of the clearest signs that your soul has moved into a new level of awareness. Growth often requires leaving behind the patterns that once defined your life. When a soul evolves, it can no longer fully belong to the environment that shaped its earlier version. This does not mean you must reject the world around you, but it does mean that your priorities begin changing. Instead of chasing temporary excitement or approval from others, you may begin seeking peace, purpose, and understanding. You may feel drawn to quiet moments where you can listen to your own thoughts and reflect on what truly matters to you. As many people never reach this stage because it requires courage to step away from the familiar and explore the deeper parts of life. But the fact that you are here listening to this message suggests that your soul is ready for this exploration. Another sign that you have crossed the spiritual line is the awakening of your inner awareness. There may be moments when you sense things about people or situations before any clear evidence appears. Perhaps you feel a strong intuition about someone's intentions, even when they are speaking kind words. Or perhaps you sense when an opportunity aligns perfectly with your path, even if others cannot see the potential in it. This intuitive awareness is not something that can easily be explained through logic alone. It is the result of your mind and spirit becoming more connected to the subtle signals that exist beneath the surface of everyday life. Many spiritual traditions describe this as the awakening of the inner voice, the quiet guidance that appears when the mind becomes still enough to listen. My child, the world often teaches people to ignore this voice. Society encourages individuals to focus on external validation rather than internal wisdom. But when a soul crosses the spiritual line, the inner voice becomes impossible to ignore. It begins guiding you toward decisions that align with your deeper purpose, even when those decisions seem uncertain or difficult at first. You may also notice that your sensitivity to energy has increased. Certain environments may suddenly feel heavy or draining, while others feel peaceful and uplifting. But you may find that spending time in nature, quiet spaces, or meaningful conversations brings you a sense of clarity that busy, chaotic environments cannot provide. This sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a sign that your awareness is expanding beyond the surface of life. When your spirit becomes more awake, it naturally begins recognizing the emotional and spiritual energy surrounding you. And here is the hook you must understand carefully. Once a soul becomes aware of these deeper layers of reality, it cannot easily return to living unconsciously. The awareness you have gained will continue shaping the way you move through life. You may begin questioning things that others accept without thought. You may look at the systems, expectations, and patterns of society and wonder whether they truly serve the well-being of the human spirit. These questions are not signs of rebellion or confusion. They are signs that your mind is expanding beyond the limits of ordinary thinking. But awakening also brings challenges. When a person begins seeing life from a deeper perspective, they sometimes feel isolated from those who remain comfortable with the surface level of reality. Friends or family members may not understand why your interests or priorities have changed. They may believe you are becoming distant or different. In truth, You are not becoming distant. You are simply evolving. Every soul moves through life at its own pace. Some awaken earlier, some later, and some choose to remain asleep to deeper truths because it feels safer or easier. Your journey is not meant to judge others for their path. Instead, now it invites you to remain compassionate while continuing your own growth. Because the more aware you become, the more you will realize that every person you meet is on a journey of learning and transformation. Some are simply at different stages along that path. As your awareness continues growing, you may begin noticing signs and coincidences that seem too meaningful to ignore. Perhaps certain messages appear at exactly the moment you need guidance. Perhaps certain people enter your life unexpectedly and offer insight that helps you move forward. These moments are often referred to as synchronicities, events that seem coincidental but carry deeper meaning for those who are paying attention. When a soul crosses the spiritual line, synchronicities often become more frequent. They serve as reminders that life is not random, but guided by forces that operate beyond ordinary understanding. You may begin realizing that the challenges you faced in the past were not meaningless struggles, but lessons preparing you for the awareness you now possess. Every experience, both painful and joyful, contributed to the person you are becoming. And the path ahead of you will likely continue offering lessons that help you grow into an even deeper understanding of your purpose. My child, the most important truth you must remember is this: crossing the spiritual line does not make you separate from the world. It gives you the opportunity to serve it with greater wisdom and compassion. The awareness you are gaining is not meant to isolate you, but to guide you toward living more consciously. As you continue walking this path, you may discover that your presence begins influencing others in subtle ways. Your words may inspire someone who feels lost. Your calmness may bring comfort to someone who is struggling. Your understanding may help others see possibilities they had not considered before. And that is one of the hidden purposes of spiritual awakening. Those who cross this line often become quiet lights in the lives of others, even when they do not realize the impact they are having. Your journey is only beginning, my child. The awareness you have discovered is simply the first step toward understanding the deeper role your soul is meant to play in this world. My child, as your journey continues beyond the spiritual line you have crossed, something even deeper begins unfolding within you. Awakening is not a single event. It is a process that slowly reveals new layers of understanding about yourself, about others, and about the unseen forces that guide the path of every soul. The moment a person crosses this spiritual threshold, the world they once knew begins changing in ways that cannot always be explained through ordinary logic. It may feel as if your mind has started seeing patterns and meanings, where before there was only routine. Situations that once felt random now seem connected. Encounters with people, events that occur at particular moments, and even the challenges you face may begin appearing less like accidents and more like parts of a larger story that is unfolding around you. This is one of the deeper stages of spiritual awakening. You begin realizing that your life is not simply a series of unrelated events, but a journey shaped by growth, lessons and purpose. When people first cross the spiritual line, they often feel a mixture of clarity and confusion at the same time. On one hand, you may feel more aware of your inner self than ever before. Your thoughts may become deeper, your reflections more meaningful, and your intuition stronger. But on the other hand, the outside world may feel strange or unfamiliar. Things that once seemed important, status, approval, competition, or material success, may no longer hold the same power over your mind. You may notice that the things society celebrates as success do not bring the fulfillment they promise. Instead, your attention may begin shifting toward inner peace, understanding, and the search for something that feels more authentic. This shift is often misunderstood by others because they are still living according to the patterns they were taught to follow. They may believe happiness comes only from external achievements or recognition. But once a soul awakens, it begins recognizing that true fulfillment comes from alignment between the inner self and the life being lived on the outside. My child, this stage of awakening often brings another important realization. Not everyone will walk the same path you are now walking. Some people will remain comfortable with the familiar structure of life they already know. They may not feel the need to question deeper meanings or explore spiritual truths. That does not make their path wrong. It simply means their journey is unfolding at a different pace. And one of the lessons of awakening is learning to respect those differences without losing the clarity you have gained. As your awareness continues expanding, you may begin noticing something else. Your connection to the present moment becomes stronger. In the past, your mind may have spent much of its time worrying about the future or replaying events from the past. But now, you may feel drawn to moments of stillness where your thoughts become quiet and your attention settles on what is happening right now. In those quiet moments, something remarkable begins to appear. You start noticing details that once escaped your attention. The sound of wind moving through trees, the rhythm of your own breathing, the feeling of calm that arises when your mind is no longer chasing endless distractions. These moments are not meaningless, yet they are glimpses of a deeper state of awareness that many spiritual traditions describe as presence. When you become fully present, you begin experiencing life directly rather than through the filter of constant thought. And this presence opens the door to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. But awakening also brings challenges that test your growth. As you become more aware, you may notice how much fear, anger, or confusion exists in the world around you. You may see how easily people become divided by differences in belief, culture, or identity. These realizations can feel overwhelming because you may wish that others could see the same deeper truths you are beginning to understand. But here is the hook you must remember carefully. Awakening is not about changing the entire world at once. It is about transforming the way you move through it. When you carry awareness, compassion, and clarity within yourself, you naturally influence the people and situations around you. Your calm presence can bring peace into conversations that might otherwise become conflict. Your understanding can help others see possibilities they had not considered before. Your willingness to listen deeply can create moments of connection in a world that often feels disconnected. These small actions may seem simple, but they are powerful because they reflect the transformation that has taken place inside you. Another important stage of awakening involves discovering your purpose. Many people spend years wondering what their purpose in life might be. Yet they search for a specific role or achievement that will define their meaning. But spiritual awakening often reveals that purpose is not a single destination. It is a way of living. Your purpose may involve helping others, creating something meaningful, or simply living in a way that reflects honesty, compassion, and awareness. Sometimes the purpose of an awakened soul is to act as a quiet guide for those who are still searching. You may find that people naturally come to you when they need advice, understanding, or comfort. They may sense that you see the world differently and that your perspective can help them navigate their own challenges. This does not mean you must have all the answers. It simply means that your awareness allows you to listen and respond in ways that bring clarity to situations that once felt confusing, my child. Now, there is one more truth you must understand as your awakening continues. The spiritual line you crossed was not the end of your transformation. It was the beginning of a lifelong journey of growth. There will still be moments of uncertainty, moments when old fears or doubts appear again. Awakening does not remove every challenge from life. Instead, it gives you the awareness needed to face those challenges with greater wisdom. Each experience you encounter from this point forward will continue shaping your understanding. Some moments will bring joy and inspiration. Others may bring lessons that require patience and reflection. But every step will contribute to the unfolding story of your soul. And as you continue walking this path, you may begin realizing that the most powerful transformation is not the changes happening around you, but the peace and clarity growing within you. Because once a soul awakens to its deeper nature, it begins living with a sense of purpose that cannot easily be shaken by the chaos of the outside world.